This is my main defensive build, PMD. I got 6 foot 160. I know there's a lot of questions on whether you should use 6'1" because you have that extra inch in the stick. A lot of the pro players are using 6 foot, and I've noticed that I don't know, there's some kind of theory that 6 foot gives you better animations with the puck. Is your preference if you want to go 6'1"? Gold, stick them up. Best thing to use this year for defense. There's nothing else really to use. Shut down. The reason we're not going with truculence here is because we're playing leagues. If you're not playing a league, you can go with truculence and then use whatever else you want. Truculence is banned in most 6v6 leagues, so that is why I use shutdown. 1T, just so I can shoot from the point. Disciplined IQ, disciplined stick. You guys can see the build archetype that I typically rock. This is the center build that I rock. Playmaker, 6 foot 160. Gold puck on a string. You can substitute this for tape to tape if you wish. The reason we don't go with big tipper is because big tipper is also banned in leagues, so puck on a string is pretty much everyone's go-to. Got close quarters, we got shutdown. You can substitute shutdown for 1T if you wish. If you want to have more firepower on offense as a center, or if you want to use this on wing as well, you can do so as well. I like to have the defensive trait because I play center and playing defense. Allows you to be a little bit more locked down defensively. You can also use stick 'em up as well. I see some people use that as well, but my preference is shutdown. Disciplined IQ, disciplined stick. So we have better defense as a center. Pretty solid defense. Body checking is unneeded, but shutdown allows me to be effective with the body check. High hand-eye, high strength, about 90 hand-eye because I'm typically going to be in front of the net to try to deflect pucks. So higher hand-eye for me. My go-to winger build, just to be a little bit more balanced. Again, we're following the playmaker, 6 foot 160, gold puck on a string. And now we have the close quarters in 1T, higher offensive awareness. That's just a preference for me. If you think this is OD, you can go with pretty much the center archetype that I have with the playmaker. It's a 90 offensive awareness. It allows you to be a little bit more defensive. If you want to have more defense for your build, it's up to you. But higher offensive awareness so that I can get those pucks and be a little bit more effective in the offensive zone. At close quarters 1T, agile deking now. Combined with puck on a string, it allows you to move the puck very quickly side to side. 90 faceoffs in case I'm taking the draw as a right winger. Now, this is a build you can't use as a forward in 6v6 leagues if you're playing league. Mainly for like LG, I think esports goes with this as well. I don't know if any other banana leagues allow you to use defensive builds on offense. But if they do, it's a pretty solid winger build. I like the tape to tape. We got close quarters 1T offensive threat. So again, we're going with the 95 offensive awareness. It's typically how I set my winger builds, my offensive builds. Positional IQ. So this mimics the center stat that I have for defensive awareness. So this is a very good playstyle category with the PMD. I think the PMD just overall, combined with the maxing out of speed, acceleration, and agility, it has the best playstyle category with a very fast build. With two-way forward, this one isn't used that much, but it is definitely effective. As you can see in the playstyle, 90 offensive awareness, 90 defensive awareness. It's got pretty solid stick checking. Good body check it with shutdown. You can, again, substitute this for truculence if you rather have that. You can use this on defense. You can, it's mainly a defensive set build. Can't really use this as a winger. It's not really much besides heat seeker that you can use. You can use this as a center as well if you want. Quick pick, no contest, heat seeker. Just depends on your preference in terms of the traits. But you can see 93 speed, excel, agility is as high as you can go. 6 foot 180. That is how I would set it. And then I got close quarters, shutdown. This is actually a center build that I have because I have close quarters. But again, you could switch it up for 1T if you want to shoot from the point, but also being locked down. So it's kind of your preference on where you want to use this build. I probably actually should go with at least 90 or so. Probably 92 to be honest. So I'm going to tweak that. Puck control is nice, but I mean, endurance is something you absolutely have to have good. If you're struggling with endurance, then you should raise this up. Next, we have a dangler build, and I actually make probably a unique twist on this because of how high deking is. I don't think you need puck on a string gold here. I would rather have some kind of shot that's maxed out in some way. So I understand we have low shot power, but close quarters gold applies enough back into the shot to make it a very powerful shot. Be able to control the puck, 95 deking. I don't think you need gold puck on a string to match that. I think it's just OD in that case. So silver puck on a string, that's why we go with the gold close quarter shot. The positional IQ, controlled passing, so we have a little bit better, you know, again with the offense. This is not as powerful, right, as a PMD or playmaker in terms of the play style. You lose out here. So this is why I don't like using this as a center. So I would only use this as a winger. You can, again, subtract this if we want to have a little bit more endurance. That is just a preference up to you. 92, I actually would recommend for forwards, at least. You can go with 90 as a defensive guy, but I would say 92 for forwards. I would say this is more of a defensive build, but you can make this as a winger if you wish, right? So you could change these to have close quarters and one, or close quarters, maybe tape to tape. If you want to go with like an offensive type of offensive defenseman, basically. But you got the gold 1T is the reason why we use this. And it's got pretty solid defense as well. So with the sniper, you have really low defensive stats, right? And you have a pretty solid shot, right? But this is 85 with our slap shot accuracy and power combined with gold 1T. I have this set as a defensive build. As you can tell, is what we're rocking. But you could switch this up. Lower some of this if you want to really, you know, maximize the offensive capabilities of this build while having pretty solid defense as well. I mean, this is pretty much like you're mimicking like a playmaker in terms of their defense while still having solid offense, and then the ability to also shoot a gold 1T. And you're not as fast as the playmaker or sniper class, but I would say it's a pretty solid threes build. You could use this in sixes too. It's tough to say that you would want to use this as a winger in sixes because of just how fast you ideally should be, but you could use it as a wing in sixes. There's nothing against that, just not really high level. It's kind of like this optional type build that you want to have. So if you want to have that ability to play defense while also cranking a solid 1T shot, that's pretty much what this build allows you to do. Again, this is set for defense for me. All right, so we have a power forward build here. This is something that I don't typically use. I never use this in sixes. This is mainly threes because of just the boarding calls, the charging calls that you can get if you're rocking gold truculence. You obviously can't use truculence in leagues and sixes, but if you're playing threes and you want to rock truculence, this is more of a, again, you have to be skillful with truculence. It's not as OP as it used to be in like 23 and below, right? With just how effective truculence was when it was first introduced, right? Hitting is obviously different, so you need a little bit more skill with it. But if you can line up body checks, it's very effective. 6 foot 195. Again, we're trying to max out on the speed. As you can see, right, 92 speed, you're not that far off, but I would say it's a huge difference between, you know, a sniper build that's max speed, excel agility compared to this, even though you're like 2 to 3 points off. I think the weight applies a hidden factor to speed that goes unnoticed, even though obviously if you were to lower the weight, it would help the points. I just think in general, I don't know, there's a big difference between a 5'9", 160 build and a 195 power forward. So even though it's 3 points off, it's a huge difference. It's like a huge gap, right? Just in terms of the skating styles that are out there that can, you know, help the builds become a little bit more faster. I don't think this is as fast as you may think. It definitely loses out on the playstyle. I would say it's not as good as the playmaker, and it's not as good as an offensive player, right? It's like you kind of have to pick how you want to design this build, right? But you lose out on the playstyle to pretty much every single build, which is insane to me. The only reason you would go with this is because of the gold truculence, just to kind of line body checks up, and that's it. Again, you could lower this if you want to have more. I mean, 84 body checking is probably the max that I would go with it. You could always go higher, but I don't really see a reason to, just because of how low everything else is, right? And if you want to be a balanced build with this, I would say you don't want to go too much with the body checking and leave everything else out. But that's just me, right? This is one, again, if you're playing defense, I would not use this in sixes. That's just me. You can use this in threes as a defenseman if you go up against all big builds. It's kind of like that type of counter to the big builds that just want to run you over. You can pretty much do the same to them, right? 6 foot 195, go truck. I've got 1T just because I want to shoot the puck, but you can use I don't know, you can use tape to tape if you want. 95 with the discipline. So I mean, you could try this out in sixes and see how effective you are, but again, you got to gauge the speed, you got to gauge how many penalties you're getting. That is the two things that you need to be able to gauge. If you're not able to stay with the very fast builds, then this is not a class that you should be using competitively, I guess, right? Just kind of something that's out there if you want to try it out, mix it up, have a bulkier build set. I've only used this a few times, and I've never used it in 6s really. It's only been a 3s type of preference build. Saving the best for last, because I know a lot of guys like to use sniper. This is one that you could use whatever you want. I like the 6 foot because that's just a preference for me. I have seen guys go 5'9" here. And there's something with 5'9" that you could be, you know, obviously you are faster. You have 95, you know, speed, acceleration. You have 96 agility. You could lower balance a little bit, max out a certain shot that you want to have really high. That's the effectiveness of the sniper class, is obviously you want to max out a very good shot. So you might want to go with like 90 or above with either wrist shot or slap shot, depending on if you're using gold 1T or gold close quarters. You can interchange these if you want. I like the 1T area because that's just me. That's just my preference. We do set up a lot of 1Ts. And then it's not bad with the close quarters as well, right? So you'd be able to take a lot of very good solid wrist shots up close. Silver puck on a string. Solid deking. It's not that bad. I just have the face-offs high just in case. I do use this in 6s, so that's why if your center goes to the box, obviously you're going to be taking the draws as a right winger. So obviously you are sacrificing defense for a very powerful offensive mindset, offensive play style. So that's why we're rocking very high offensive awareness, very high passing, even though it's only close to 90. You kind of gauge the endurance. You obviously are trying to be very quick back and forth. So it's up to you on how you want to design this build. I've mixed in a 5'9", but I just like the 6 foot height. That's just my preference. I would say the 5'9" may be the route to go just because of how fast you want to be with the build. The faster you transition north, and the quicker a pass can get up to you, the more you can catch teams off guard with just how fast you are. So if the quicker you transition in this game, better offensive chances that you're actually going to get. But those are my builds. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below on any type of builds that you use that I don't, or any type of suggestion that should be changed. Anything and everything. Hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that bell. We got more content coming for EASHL. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.